So we're near Burton Green in Coventry, on the edge of Coventry in the United Kingdom, and out there you can see the bridge that we were on in the last video. Now I want you to look at the contrast. This is what HS2 have done to the beautiful Greenway. Now we're going to turn around and we're going to look at the contrast. This is where that other new route is going to come out onto here. Now we're going here. This is exactly how it used to be, all the way along here. Tree-lined avenue. It goes on for quite a long while, all the way to Kenilworth. It's called the Kenilworth Greenway, even although we're right out here at Burton Green. And we're having a lovely walk along here today. And you can see a lovely bridge down here, all done in blue bricks for some considerable time. And this is how it used to be all the way along. And of course it's so different now, but this bit is still here, thankfully. But the HS2 have gone over that direction, chomping through more ancient woodland, which seems to be their forte. Now, my dear old father used to build these bridges when it was British Rail, and he was always pointing out, not these ones here because he was in East Anglia, but he was here doing these bridges, making these beautiful arches. And whenever we went out anywhere, he used to point out, oh, that's him and his mate, him and his labourer, that they made that arch. I remember one underneath the last South Pier in Lowestoft. There were, I think there's been 3, but the last South Pier in Lowestoft, there were arches underneath that. Must have been difficult because the water is all under there, and he built the arches under there which supported the main structure. So, and he used to show me. And then somewhere in Great Yarmouth there was a wiggly wall. Now in Suffolk you often get these, they look snake-like, they wriggle backwards and forwards like an S, permanent S shape. And of course what this does is means you don't have to put in piers to support it. The shape of it supports itself, at least that's my theory. If there's any brickies looking in, I'm sure you're going to tell me completely differently, but that's, from an engineering point of view, that would be what I thought. So I go on a podcast now and look up science, and I get some fabulous stuff. It's actually the classic FM radio, and of course with it I got loads of other radio stations, including Gold and Smooth, so that was good. And I was listening the other day, I typed in science on the search in podcasts, and I found some fabulous science programs. I do like science, as I've said before. And what happened? Well, it was all about Neanderthal, and they said, is it Neanderthal as it's spelt, or is it Neanderthal? And of course it was Neanderthal, for the reason it's in the first one was found in the Neander Valley, and Tal, apparently one or the other of them, means new man, so hence Neanderthal. And modern humans and Neanderthals they've now discovered all around at the same time. The populations of each was probably no more than 20,000. They didn't live so long, and so thus, I think I'll go over this way. Yes, they didn't live as long, so their populations were sort of steady, apparently at around 20,000. And they were there at the same time. And of course, incidentally, they interbred. And they have been checking on the DNA, and the DNA shows that quite clearly that they did interbreed. And it was originally thought that the Neanderthals lost out to the modern humans through battle. But as they were having inter-tribe relationships, it strikes me that perhaps it wasn't battle, and this was the conclusion they came to. It wasn't battle, it was just that they were, the modern humans were perhaps becoming more advanced. And they were talking about the difference. They said, well, you could see one of these walking down the street, a Neanderthal, and you would see the brows and the leaning back head and big nose and jaw. They would be muscular and shorter than us, according to the skeletons. And I just found the whole program fascinating. Absolutely fascinating that they can do this sort of research. And they found that there were fires away from the... Hello, squirrel. He's gone down now. Can you see him? Just over there, look. Gone up a tree now. Yeah, there was a fire away from the wall of the cave, and they slept behind this. But it was not used for cooking or anything. This was just something to warm them up inside the cave. It was thought that they didn't stay in the caves all the time. They were hunter-gatherers, so they were wandering about, hunting and gathering as a hunter-gatherer does. And the whole thing was fascinating. But coming back to the spelling, English is a strange language. There's a place in Scotland called Dalmeny. Now you would think it would have an EA or a double E. No, it's spelled D-A-L-M-E-N-Y. Now to all normal people they would call it Dalmeny. But no, it's Dalmeny. This is just a part of it, isn't it? There's so many. And then there's a place, back in history, they called, what are they called now? Peewits. They called them Peavers. But how is it spelled? How would you spell Peavers? P-E-A-V-E-R-S? Yeah, maybe O-R-S at the end, but definitely an E-A or double E. No. P-E-V-O-R-S with no apostrophe. Just Pevers. But it's not. The correct pronunciation is Peavers. Now, if you don't know that, how could you read it? And there are lots and lots of other words, and we wonder why it is the foreigners have a massive problem with English. Every time you learn a rule, there's another rule that cancels the previous rule. I before E. Oh, except after C. So, and so on and so forth. There are always exceptions. What's the point of a rule? Why don't we maintain the rule? It's a strange language, and although I don't like American English, I do get the idea behind some of their changes in the language, so that it does actually make sense. But it is very hard for foreigners to learn, mind you. It's harder than me learning. It couldn't be harder than me learning a Thai language and all the tonal values. I've tried saying a friend's name, Montakan, Songwan, and I've tried to say it in dozens of different ways, and she still says, no, it's this. And I hear the same thing. I hear what I'm saying, and I say it, no. And, well, that says it all, doesn't it? I've sort of given up. And even when you learn a language, I learned a bit of French. I can get by in French. I can order a meal and this and that. And but when I get to the south of France, they don't understand me at all. They think I'm speaking a foreign language. They don't recognise the French. Paris, no problem. They understand. So when you learn a foreign language, which one are you going to learn? We go to Germany regularly, and of course there's a heavy local accent where we stay with friends in Nuremberg. But another friend speaks what they call High German.